The future Emperor Majorian was born in 420 to a prominent military family. During the reign of Valentinian III, he rose through the ranks as a lieutenant of Rome's legendary captain Flavius Aetius. Nevertheless, when Valentinian attempted to make Majorian his son-in-law and putative successor, this interfered with Aetius's own dynastic plans, and he was forced to retire in 450. In the chaos following the murder of Aetius and Valentinian, Majorian was reinstated in 455 and floated as a candidate for the throne, but the crown ultimately passed to Roman Senator Petronius Maximus. However, Maximus was killed when the Vandals sacked Rome within weeks of his acclamation. In the aftermath, the new fault lines of imperial politics sharpened into focus. To rule effectively, an emperor needed acceptance from Italy, including the Roman Senate and Italian army, Gaul, including the Gallo-Roman army, aristocracy, and federate allies, the Dalmatian army, and, ideally, the Eastern Empire. Without support from these key constituencies, emperors were vulnerable to civil war. Following Maximus's death, a Gallo-Roman aristocrat named Avitus was acclaimed emperor in Gaul, with decisive support from the Visigoths. His acclamation was tentatively accepted in the rest of the empire, but the Dalmatian army under Marcellinus broke away, loyal to Aetius's memory. Faced with Vandal raids across the Tyrrhenian, Avitus vigorously repelled them, but without a strong imperial fleet, Italy remained vulnerable. When the Suebi invaded Tarraconensis in late 455, he authorized the Visigoths to repel them, and heeding the call, King Theodoric crushed the Suebi at Urbicus in late 456, nominally restoring the empire in Spain, but in fact ruling in his own right. Domestically, with the exception of Majorian and his barbarian colleague Ricimer, Avitus heavily favored Gallo-Romans in imperial appointments. Antagonized by its exclusion from power, the Roman Senate deposed Avitus in late 456. Majorian and Ricimer joined it, and when Avitus fled to his power base in Gaul, they captured him at Placentia and later killed him. The blowback to Avitus's ouster was swift. Furious at the removal of their patron, the Visigoths seized Septimania, the Burgundians occupied the Rhone Valley, and Gaul broke into rebellion. Meanwhile, the new Eastern Emperor Leo the Thracian failed to name a Western colleague, and during the interregnum, Majorian and Ricimer jointly controlled Italy in his name. Nevertheless, Majorian's ultimate accession seemed likely, because his barbarian colleague was ineligible. After Majorian repelled an Alemanni raid in March 457, the Italian army acclaimed him emperor with the tacit acceptance of the Senate. An able strategist, Majorian understood the urgent need to recover the rich province of Africa from the Vandals. Otherwise, the empire would remain terminally exposed and insolvent. Therefore, he introduced a series of reforms to strengthen Roman defenses, stabilize imperial finances, and curb aristocratic privileges. These reforms inspired discontent among magnates in the Roman Senate, but they financed crucial additions to the Roman navy. In foreign policy, Majorian tactfully courted Marcellinus to return the Dalmatian army to the imperial fold. Leaving Ricimer in command of Italy, he assembled an expeditionary force, crossed the Alps, and utterly crushed the Visigoths at Arles in 458. Recovering Spain and returning the Visigoths to their subordinate status as federate allies. He followed this with another victory over the Burgundians at Lugdunum, recovering the Rhone River basin. Entering rebel Gaul, he leveraged diplomacy to reconcile the Gallo-Romans with the empire, and by the end of 458, Majorian had proven the first and only 5th century Western emperor to rule effectively in his own right. Moving into Spain, he campaigned against the Suebi in 459, and as that war drew to a successful conclusion, he set the African conquest in motion, sending a Dalmatian contingent to fortify Sicily and assembling an invasion fleet in southern Spain. Countering him, the Vandals preemptively tightened their grip on Mauritania and destroyed the gathering Roman navy at Elche in 460. His prestige badly wounded, Majorian entered a humiliating treaty with the Vandals, disbanded his army, and returned to Arles. With Majorian away, disgruntled Italian senators coalesced around Ricimer, who himself preferred a weaker monarch subject to his personal control. When Majorian re-entered Italy in early 461, Ricimer ambushed him at Tortona, and by August, he was dead. Ricimer's betrayal made him the ultimate kingmaker in Italy, but after Majorian's death, his loyal generals permanently broke with the empire, including Aegidius in Gaul, Nepotianus in Spain, and Marcellinus in Dalmatia. Renewed expansion by the Visigoths, Burgundians, and Vandals eviscerated Majorian's short-lived restoration of imperial integrity. Never again would the Western Empire unify behind a capable emperor. instead enduring a series of weak puppets, culminating with the final deposition of Romulus Augustulus in 476. Majorian was widely recognized as a formidable ruler on a deliberate mission to restore a failing imperial framework. However, his failure to recover Africa doomed both him and his enterprise. Consequently, his short reign is remembered as another sad chapter in the irreversible disintegration of the West.